Hello, everybody, and welcome back to From BA to Broadway. I am your devoted host, Mr. Brennan, Stefanik, and I have with me here one of my favorite humans on this planet. Brandon, introduce yourself, my friend. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm Brandon.
What's your last name?
Brandon Walters.
Yeah,
I
it is.
am an actor boy,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How did, for the people out there, how do we know each other?
We did a little show together called Dogfight 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah.
God.
Gross.
2 years ago in Sonora, California, home of bears, home of mountains,
Yosemite.
home of Yosemite, home of
Good times.
Alicia's Sugar Shack.
Alicia Sugar Shack. Shout out. This is not sponsored by Alicia Sugar Shack. However, if you wanted to sponsor us, we would be more than happy. That place rocks. So, Mr. Brandon Walters, did you go to school for theater? Do you have a theater degree?
I do. I have a BFA in musical theater. I was thinking about that today, and like saying those words is just kind of weird.
That you have a BFA
I've never,
theater?
I don't think I've ever said out loud, I have my BFA. You know what I mean?
Say it again.
I have a BFA in musical theater.
Yeah, you do.
Does it feel gross to hear it?
Not at all. A loud and proud baby.
I mean, I think it's great. Like, I love that I have my degree. I think it's great. But also, like, saying, I don't know, it's weird to me. I've never said it, actually.
Well, there's a first time for everything.
There's a first time for everything.
So yeah, folks, we have a BFA here in our midst today, and we are going to be talking about how to find auditions today. Would you say that's something that they taught you in school?
I do, actually. I do think we had a class every Monday night, which was the worst timing. It was like
that's horrible.
It was absolutely it was like 9 p.m.
That's not a time.
Not probably earlier. I'm probably over exaggerating by how late it was, but it like would go to however late it wanted to. And they would usually have guests come in. That's like when like the guest speakers would come in from New York. I went to Rider University in New Jersey. So it was maybe like an hour and a half by train. So we would have a lot of industry professionals come in.
Monday evening?
Monday evening.
Monday, which is famously the day off for the industry.
For the industry.
Where people have all day available.
Yep.
Interesting.
Absolutely. And they would have industry professionals come in on their one day off. And they would go there. I have to burp.
Go for it. This is not getting cut out.
No.
I'll be on the edge of our seats waiting for this right now.
I think I've internalized the burp.
Okay, you really just absorbed it back into your being.
So
they taught you where to find that.
Yeah,
that's great.
They we had a class that like would be random, different lessons of that nature, and
like have career prep
yeah, exactly. Okay. Career prep things and different master classes and like where to find these auditions and whatnot. So yeah, they did teach us a good amount of that, and then a lot of it was also just like learn as you go.
Heard. And I think that's how a lot of people tend to do it in this here biz. So let's dive into it for those folks,
Sure.
The folks who didn't get that class and the folks who can't afford that class, et cetera, et cetera.
Heard. I couldn't afford that class either. I'm still paying that boy
literally
off.
For the rest of our lives, baby. Okay, so basically the answer to the question is how do you find audition? The answer is the internet.
I like to go outside and just ask.
Oh, okay.
Just right on the street.
Does that work for you?
It works for the most part.
Okay. What kind of things are you auditioning for?
I just go out there and I'm like, who wants to see me sing and dance? And usually somebody says, yeah, sure.
Of course, it's New York.
Randos.
Nobody's doing that out there except for you.
Yeah, nobody. The internet.
Yeah, the answer is the internet. So there's a bunch of websites that we have available to us. And like, let's just go in alphabetical order.
Heard.
Number one, we got Actors Access. That is actorsaccess.com. Probably the essential one.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's tricky because the auditions don't always come through.
For sure.
Through Actors Access, but I do think it is the most of the time what people are looking for are on there. Like the things people are advertising they're looking for, they're actually looking for. And I think it's the most trustworthy website
Totally.
we got.
So like folks, the format of this website kind of is that all of the job listings are there. You can filter by what you're looking for, location, etc. And then you can go in and you can essentially submit clips of yourself, etc. What I have.
Oh, there it was coming. I had to get it out. I didn't want it to be in the middle of you speaking.
Amazing. Wow. We were all graced with the presence of that.
That's gross.
Oh my God. Love that for us. What was I saying?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah. So you wow, we're off to a great start. So yeah, you can go into each audition or show, whatever that you see on there, and then you can submit clips of yourself that you upload to said website, and that goes directly to the casting directors and whatnot, and then they can communicate with you via that for callbacks, etc. Does that feel like an accurate summary?
Yeah, I'd say so. There's like lots of, it feels a lot of time in our industry, a lot of things are pay to play, and I do think Actors Access is pay to play a little bit. Like it is one of the. We're gonna discuss all the different websites, and each one has like a certain price point. Some of them are free, and Actors Access does like you can look at everything for free.
Yes,
but if you do not pay for the premium membership of it, you have to pay like $2 a submission. And then on top of that, the way you submit on there is that all of your stuff is uploaded to the website. So all your headshots, all your your resume, all your headshots, all your different clips as well. And the clips especially can get pretty pricey.
It can indeed. I think it's $22 per minute.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even think I don't have any clips on my.
You don't have any clips?
No, I don't.
Whoa.
I don't have any clips on there, and I just refuse to pay for it.
But you also, I feel like you do get some.
I do get
stuff on there. Anyways.
Yeah, I think there's some tricks to it. There's some tips and tricks to it, which I think we can discuss.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely. Just for the sake of sharing the info, Actors Access for the premium membership. I don't remember what it's called. Maybe Actors Access Plus.
I think it's Plus. Yeah, I think you got it.
It costs $68 a year, or if you do it monthly, it's $10 a month. So figure you're submitting for let's say one audition a week. Okay, that's $2 a week essentially, or whatever. Yeah. But the goal is to be submitting more, I would say. So it is cost effective in the long run in terms of the parameters that they have established.
Do you pay for it?
Yeah.
I didn't used to. I didn't when I had an agent. I did not pay for it because my agency would submit through Actors Access. So usually I would ask them to submit me through Actors Access. And I wouldn't pay for it. And then when I dropped my agent, I was like, all right, I'm going to be doing a lot more submitting myself. Let me start paying for it. And that's when I decided to make the switch to pay for the Plus version. And I do like it a lot.
I've never thought about it that way because I can't submit on Actors Access anymore because I have a little agent now. And they just do all the submissions for me.
Might be worth canceling that bad boy. Save yourself a bill.
Whoa, I did.
You literally can't submit anymore.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, they send us requests and they're like, hey, do you want to be submitted for this thing?
Oh, okay. That's cute.
And they're usually directly from the Actors Access breakdown.
Okay, great. Yeah, so then there's no point. There's not much point in you paying for it.
Yeah, and I did
because you can still see it for free.
I did just the yearly renewal just happened at the beginning of the year, so we know for next year, people. Womp, womp.
You could probably cancel it now.
I probably could.
How long is your contract with your agent?
I'm freelancing.
Oh, you're freelancing?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
I'm freelancing, so I am not.
Oh, well, then I think it's worth keeping.
I mean,
if you're freelancing, I think it's worth keeping.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are still submitting me for things.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I think just because like we don't have a definitive contract start and end date, I think it's just worth keeping.
Heard. I mean, yeah, and I'm gonna because I already paid for it.
Yeah, have it for the year at the very least.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, like that's kind of how Actors Access works. It is. I would say if there's any that are mandatory, it's probably that one.
I agree.
Okay, next we got good old Backstage.com.
Backstage.
Have you ever paid for Backstage?
I did years ago.
Same
It's
here.
been a long time since I've even looked at backstage, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, wait.
I don't even
before we
look.
continue, I forgot to say Actors Access does have a free student trial. I forgot how long the period is, but if you are a student, you can get X amount of months free. So especially those people that are going to be graduating college soon or are about to enter the field without having done college, which is totally fine, folks. Totally fine. I recommend definitely utilizing that and then getting a feel for it and making sure you understand before you continue with the membership. So yeah, take advantage of that. So yeah, but anywho, back to backstage. That is something I did pay for out of the gate. I feel like that is the one that is advertised the most. I feel like that is the casting website, app, whatever, that is advertised the most out there.
Probably. I feel like you come across it on like Instagram when you're scrolling and shit, you know. I will say I used to use it when I was interested in getting into like student films to try and like build up a reel.
Understood.
I found a lot of, and this was years ago though, so I don't know if that's still the case at all.
I think that people are still posting on there about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I found a lot of that stuff to be pretty useful at that time. So like that's what I mostly used backstage for. Not that it like, well, no, I think like because I was like, you can find theater breakdowns and like different audition breakdowns, but most of the time they don't give you all the information of the audition unless you pay for it. And when you can get that information on Playbill, which we're going to talk about later, when you can get that information for free on Playbill, what's the purpose of having
That's the thing is that,
you know?
I mean, while it is useful, there are other avenues that you can spend no money. And then once again, just for the sakes of transparency, backstage, depending on like the payment plan, costs either between $16 to $25 a month. I think if you pay month to month, it's $25 a month. Or if you do the X amount of months, it ends up being like 16. So yeah, I mean, once again, it's an expense.
Yep.
So, and like, yeah, it's one that you don't necessarily need, but it has its uses. I will say that I do owe a lot of my success to backstage because that's where
you were going to say you owe backstage a lot of
I
money.
owe them so much money. They're on my tail. No. I owe a lot of my success to them because that's where I was found. They found me on there for Gilded Age.
Oh, yeah.
Which I haven't talked about on here yet. So, hey, folks, I have a core background role on HBO's The Gilded Age. And I got that because during season 1, I still lived in New England. And I was registered on there as a New England local, and they film in Rhode Island. So they reached out to me via backstage and were like, hey, you're on here as a Rhode Island local. Would you like to do some general background work? So I was like, yeah, I do. And then by the time season 2 came around, I lived in New York. And I was like, hey, guess what? I also live in New York. Wow. And they were like, okay, cool. Here, do you want to come in for this core background role? So that one of the coolest things I've done, I will say, is that. So I do owe that to backstage. But once again, you can still have a profile on there without paying for it. I don't think I paid for it at the time that I got that.
You can still have a profile. Yeah. I think I still have a profile.
Yes, for sure.
Because again, like you need a profile to talk through Audition Update, which is another thing we're going to talk about later.
For sure.
Later.
So that's the gist of backstage. I mean, at the end of the day, always make a profile and everything. You know, if you can make a free profile on something, might as well do it. It's not going to hurt.
Literally everything. Everything you can get your hands on.
Let's see. We got backstage.
I was going to say
Farmers Only.
Yeah.
I think there's one called Facebook. You might as well get on there.
I'm off.
You're not on Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook. And I actually was going to talk about Facebook too, because you said something that interested me. I think it was just the idea of like a job coming through backstage and having. I wanted to talk about having a profile on backstage for the sake of things like your experience happening. And I don't think that is necessarily worth paying for the subscription.
For sure.
For some, like, hoping that something like that happens. Like, that was, so for me, I don't like social media. It's probably not a good thing to advertise on this, that I don't like social media. I don't. And so I got rid of my Facebook a couple years back, and I think it's a little different now. I think the mentality has changed towards Instagram. It's like, if you don't have an Instagram, how are you going to get jobs? And like a lot of people used to say that about Facebook. And like, if you don't have a Facebook, if you don't, like, to bring it back to Backstage, if you don't have a Backstage, how are you going to get a job? Statistically, 0 of my jobs have come from Backstage and Facebook.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, there are certain things not worth paying for. Not that you're paying for Facebook, but you know. If I wanted to get on my high horse
and, like,
about Facebook, that's
quite
my high
frankly,
horse.
like, the only things I use Facebook for nowadays are a place to store all my photos, someone to tell me whose birthday it is.
Oh yeah, nope.
And Facebook Marketplace, and that's it.
I do miss those 3 things.
I mean, I'd say it's worth it having it for that, but to each their own, and to you your own.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, let's move on. We got
moving on.
The next B one, which is BroadwayWorld.com. So for that, it would be Oh, I forgot to say Backstage is this Backstage.com. Broadway World is www.broadwayworld.com/theater. That's theater with an RE -auditions. This is the first of our free options, which is rad. Yeah. I think when I first started looking for auditions on these kinds of websites, that was probably my main source.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't really know Playbill existed in the way it did then. And yeah, the timeline just kind of made a little bit more sense to me on BroadwayWorld.com.
I think it's formatted nicely. Like, it's formatted to be based on date of audition versus when it was listed.
Exactly.
Which I think is nice. I think I didn't spend a lot of time on Broadway World. You know who did, though? My mother.
Oh,
Ursula.
My Lord.
Ursula
Shout
Walters.
out to Ursula.
Shout out Ursula Walters. She is one of those moms that loves to check out auditions and be like, did you see this audition? And it drives me bananas. But
we can't say that on the podcast.
I can't say bananas?
No, we have to worship our mothers on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to?
I thought it was going to be a okay.
And it drives you.
Drives me. It's the best. I don't know. I can't think of another word other than bananas because it does drive me
bananas in a good
crazy.
way. Anywho, yes.
Crazy.
So,
but she's amazing. She's the best. We love her.
The best.
We love hers. But she used to look at Broadway World constantly. That was her website of choice.
Yeah, I mean, especially at first, I just found it to be very user friendly. Also, in terms of like the differences between this and Actress Access, Broadway World is a website that is going to show you auditions that are happening, but it is not a vehicle to submit for them necessarily. Some of them, if it's a digital submission or if they're accepting tapes or whatever, it will have information to send it to. But I think for the most part, the purpose is to just have postings for folks to know what's happening in person.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, very useful tool for all of us. And also just, once again, very nice to have a little free option there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we've talked about The Hustle.
Yes.
The Hustle's new for me.
Yeah, it's also new for me. I signed up relatively recently.
I signed up maybe a month or 2 ago, and I just think, not to bash Broadway World, but I'm going to bash Broadway World. I think it's...
Broadway World, block your ears. I'm still open to a sponsorship.
I'm so sorry, sponsor us. I think it's formatted way better. And it's a similar sort of breakdown in that it's calendar-based, so it's based on the day. And I just think it's formatted better. It's $1 a month. And like, come on, that's crazy, you know? But like, I think it's worth it just because it is a similar format.
100%. So this is going to be thehustlenyc.org. And basically for you pay $1 a month and they have just a calendar. It's a good old calendar chart that you can click on each date and it'll say, hey, these are the auditions that are happening on these dates. This is all of the information. This is the original listing. And and they also give updates on the day on their social media platforms as well.
Their Instagram is super helpful. Yeah. Like super, super helpful. So on their stories every day, they'll be posting like who is getting seen at these auditions, how many people they're seeing, whether they're taking lists, what number they're on the list. I don't know. They must have spies all over these auditions because they... are are constantly posting information. It's pretty impressive.
Half the people in the room I don't think are actually auditioning. I think
Nope.
they are just reporting back to
just the
this
hustle.
website, which honestly, good for them.
Good on them.
And if you're hiring, let me know, because
Yeah.
I'm looking right now.
That $1 a month is going towards all of those spies' paychecks.
They got to get paid somehow.
They gotta
baby.
get paid somehow. It's not much, but it's a living.
But yeah, so the hustle is just really useful in terms of just like having everything consolidated in one place. I will say that when I am planning things out ahead of time, I don't necessarily find it as useful just because I don't look ahead on that very frequently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I'll do that. These days I've been like Saturday or Sunday, depending on which day, I have like an hour to like space out. Okay, what auditions am I going to this week?
Sure.
I'll just stick to the hustle usually these days.
Yeah, I if it's during the week for sure.
Yeah.
But like also like I feel like a lot of times if I'm looking on other websites, I'm like marking things in my calendar that are like a couple weeks or a month out, you know. So I will say, they're on there for sure, but I just don't necessarily use it for that.
Yeah.
Or in that way. But that's on me. That's
on
my
you.
loss.
That's your loss, man.
Jeez. I'm the worst. So yeah, shout out the hustle. Also relatively new, I think. It's a relatively new platform.
Definitely. I think it's new, and I mean it's so cheap, which is really amazing. But I think it goes without saying that one's worth paying for because it's only $1 a month. But I do think it's one of the more helpful resources I have found this audition season. Like, I really have enjoyed using it. I think the platform's good. I think the website itself is pretty good. I think it's organized well. Like, I think all around, whoever did it, good on you.
A+.
It feels like it's made by actors. It feels like it is.
Made
It's
by
gotta
actors
be.
for actors.
It's that's this podcast. Made by actors for actors.
Love that. And there's a little sparkly sound at the end.
Ding.
Wow.
That's
the
You
ad.
found your tagline. Yeah. So that one's good. Dig that one.
Once again, this is not, just for the folks out there, this is not a website that you actually like submit through. This is just a consolidation of events that are happening essentially. But it's super duper useful.
I think the only one, Backstage you can submit through. I was going to say, I think that the only one we've had that you can submit through is Actors Access, but Backstage you can as well. But again, I don't think Backstage is worth it. Actors Access, worth it. Backstage
that is such a controversial opinion, Brandon.
I know, I'm sorry.
I, as the host of this podcast, would never say that.
Well, then I'm here to tell you, Backstage ain't worth it.
And I have no comment to that. You can take with that what you will.
Yeah. I'm not sponsored by BA to Broadway, but
I am Switzerland in this instance.
And I am not.
And that's why I bring on a variety of guests. Okay.
So I can say the crazy.
Let's move on in this very specific alphabetic order that we're going in. The next is casting networks. I don't know if you ever use casting networks.
I have, but I really don't know enough about it. You would know better than me about this one.
You would think that I would know better.
And you don't.
I don't. That's one that I should pay for, but I don't.
I think I do.
Oh my God.
I think I pay for it. And I think I've looked at it like twice.
For the folks out there, that means he is paying between $8 to $22 a month based on his subscription plan.
I gotta stop that. I'm too poor for that. I can't do that.
But basically, casting networks is super handy if you are in the realm of film and TV. Yeah. That is essentially the Actors Access of the film and TV world. So if that's what you're looking to get into, casting networks, absolutely mandatory.
Feels like there's a lot of commercial stuff on there.
Lots of commercials, lots of like guest starring or co-starring situations. I will say like a lot of New York work as well. Like that's where they're getting their day players for the most part. So if that is something that you are pursuing, that's going to be the one that you want to hop on board for and toss your money at for sure. But yeah, I have like the basic membership and that's really it. And like granted, I also do like look at it and I have seen things that I'd be like, wow, yeah, no, I could definitely submit for that, but I just haven't paid for it yet.
Does your agent submit through there?
Yes, that's actually why I made that.
That was mine too. So like I needed it at a point when my agent was submitting it through stuff there, and I did get stuff through casting networks. I just don't look at it now that I am not represented, which is, Well,
folks
It's not
out
enough
there.
time in the day.
Yeah, there's just not enough time in the day. We should add some more hours to the day.
We can do that on this podcast.
I mean, just generally, I'm sure we could call someone. Are we thinking like what, 28 hours in a day?
I to be honest with you, I think if we added more hours in the day, I would use them for sleep, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No,
like I think that's worth it, but I think I would use those extra hours to sleep.
I would be using it for the same reasons. I'd be scrolling on TikTok. I would be doing all of these things just for an extra 4 hours.
I don't know that I would get a lot more productive things done during those extra hours, but I would enjoy them.
You would have the option to, you know? You would have the option.
Yeah.
Whether you do it or not.
We can make this happen.
It's sounding like a horrible idea the more we talk about it, but I also think it's probably just because of us.
I feel really
you disagree?
good about it. I feel really good about it.
Okay. Well,
I don't think I've ever felt better about it.
You heard it here first, folks. Brandon Walters, no to backstage, but yes to more hours in the day.
I stand by that. That's 2024. That's my 2024 slogan, maybe.
Stand by what you say. Be honest. Be loud. Be proud. Be yourself.
Amen.
Amen. That's what we stand by here at From BA to Broadway.
Amen.
And I'm always saying that, and I will always say that. Yes, that's kind of casting networks. Once again, I am no expert in this whatsoever, but I will say if you're a film and TV girly, that is your website. That's your avenue. And great
luck.
Yeah,
good luck on casting networks.
You're gonna book.
Let us know how it goes, and maybe you can be the next guest on BA.
That's
Broadway,
exactly right.
Just about casting networks.
It's From BA to Broadway.
From what did I say?
You just said BA to Broadway.
Oh, it's From BA to Broadway.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I guess that is a map.
Have you ever considered changing it?
Actually, the thing is, on all of the social media platforms, it is BA to Broadway. But that's just for the sake of the visual. The From is just like small font. Mm-hmm. Anywho, so yeah, that's Casting Network. Last but not least, we got our good old holy grail that is playbill.com. And that, we love Playbill. It's going to be playbill.com/jobs. And once again, that is a network, a platform that you go on. You can filter your search settings and say, "Hey, I'm a performer and I would like to be paid." Those are my filters.
Those are my go-tos.
And those are my only requirements. You can also choose location-wise and whatnot. But once again, we're out here willing to work wherever we can. But it is super duper useful. It's organized day by day in terms of the date it was posted. So it's just a bunch of auditions that are happening either locally, regionally, or virtually. And it's just posted each day. You can go on, see what's up. And that's kind of how I usually build out my calendar is
me too.
I'll search pretty daily on there. And whatever's new that I want to go to, I'll throw it in their Apple Calendar and live my life by it.
Do you find that website can be a little buggy sometimes?
Playbill?
Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No.
I was hoping to talk about that because I was like, I can't
so much, and I would love for them to sponsor us. Continue.
Sure. All right, fine.
Yeah. I mean, no, I haven't found it to be buggy really. I also am of the way I kind of operate now is I have to open a new tab for everything. Anytime I click on some form of link, I will open it in a new tab. Oh yeah. Because I always get so. That's just my messy brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, super handy, super useful.
Yeah.
All the breakdowns on there. Get on it. And it's costs how much?
It's free.
$99.
Free $99.
Which is just free.
It's not 99 cents. It's just free. That would be 99 cents. It's just free.
We're just quirky.
It's just free. Just quirky.
We're just quirky and different. So yeah, I would say those are the major hitters, in terms of what we're trying to find auditions on and how we're trying to get auditions.
Yeah, I agree. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say on those bad boys, but not really.
So in terms of what you should actually be paying for, I think it's going to be Actors Access.
Yeah.
If you are I also should have said this. For Actors Access, Backstage, I think it's just those two are going to have both theater and television, film, TV auditions. The others, I would say, are primarily theater, except for casting networks, which is primarily film and TV, commercial, voiceover, etc. So in terms of what you should be paying for our stage actors, it's definitely going to be Actors Access. If you're an NYC actor, The Hustle, 100%.
I remembered what I wanted to say about Actors Access and why I think if there's anything worth paying for, I think it's Actors Access.
Yeah, then say it.
Even if you're not paying for Plus, like I think it's worth paying to have your pictures on there. It's worth paying for those submissions because like when you do get a casting notice or whatever through Actors Access, it is because they are looking for you. And like it's not just like going to a random open call, hoping that they are looking for my type, hoping that they're looking for my voice type, whatever it may be. Like, if I get a call through Actors Access, I know it's because they are interested in my type. They're interested in what I have to offer. And so, therefore, I think it's worth it. Just because your likelihood of getting a job through Actors Access is just a bit higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've already gotten one, yes, so let's move to the next one.
100%.
Yeah.
And also, like, while we're on the topic, we might as well say a lot of the times, once you submit, if you hear back, you will hear back via something called EcoCast.
I don't really understand what that is.
I mean, I guess I don't either. But it is something that we use because we have to.
Now here's what I'm gonna try and compare it to.
Yes.
And you can tell me if you think I'm right or not.
Explain how it works,
is.
and then
so let's say I submit for Come From Away.
Away.
I'm submitting for a production of Come From Away.
Awesome.
I'm right for the role of Oz and others.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you are.
I submit for it. I then get a message through Actors Access with an EcoCast listing. And it pretty much is from that theater. And that's if they are interested in me to play Oz in Come From Away. It'll have the whole breakdown. It'll have the pay rate. Usually, I imagine most of these have the standard information of like start date, who's casting, who's working on it, pay rate, breakdown of the show, synopsis, and breakdown of the character, and all the information you need as to what they want you to prepare and whether it is a live audition or a virtual audition. And all of that is in one place.
Yes. And
that is the EcoCast that you are sent.
Exactly.
Now, how I would compare what an EcoCast is, and you tell me if you think I'm right or not. I think I'm right. I feel good about this.
To hear what you're about
I feel good about this. So you and I have Gmail.
Yes.
For our email.
That is correct.
We do not get a Gmail when we have a message on Gmail. We get an email. I think that's the equivalent. On Actors Access, you do not get an Actors Access. You get an EcoCast. It's just their equivalent to email on their website. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It makes sense because I know you. It makes sense because I know how your brain works. Basically,
it's a perfect analogy. It's literally exactly correct.
So perfect. It's also like, you know how you have like a mailbox? Well, you don't get mailboxes in there.
No, you don't. You get mail. You are getting it.
So basically, folks, on Actors Access, you have a little inbox, and when you get this quote EcoCast, it shows up in that inbox. And that's it's a message. It's a message that they send you, and you have some of them have the option to send materials via that if they ask for it. So
when you and I send messages through carrier pigeon, I'm not getting a second pigeon. I'm getting a piece of mail.
But
that one
is being delivered by the pigeon.
So by the pigeon. And I guess you could keep it, but the point is that they go back home.
That's so true.
Yeah.
All pigeons have homes, and that is something that we stand by here at
Absolutely. And we would love to be sponsored by you, Carrier Pigeons.
This is a pro-pigeon podcast.
Yes. Actually, I'm not. I'll say it.
That was really brave of you. I really appreciate that.
I'm not pro-pigeon.
Okay. I'm not either. They're kind of.
I'll say it.
They're trash birds.
I don't think that any bird, like animals, are meant to live in nature, and a bird that congregates in a place with little to no nature shouldn't exist. There's little to no nature in the city.
mean, that's true. However, there was nature here before the city was here. We did.
I think the pigeons came later.
What came first, the pigeon or the city?
Vongsithi. I think this.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay. Jeez, we're really getting philosophical
Mhm.
here. Oh, you get everything on this
That's what you
podcast,
brought
am
me
I
here
right?
for.
Yes,
That's what you brought me
absolutely.
here for.
I can already tell this is going to be a fan favorite guest. And you're right for that.
If I'm not asked back, I'll burn this place to the ground.
Oh
I'll
God,
end it.
no! I live here. Dear God. Hopefully by the time this comes out, I'll have a studio in a big fancy tall building, but it's
Well, then I'm
probably going to
burning
come
that
out in
too.
like 3 weeks, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But we can manifest.
Yeah. We can.
Anywho, oh my God. Yes. So in terms of what you actually pay for, Actors Access, Casting Networks, The
Hustle.
End of list.
End of list.
In terms of other tools, I'm bringing this next tool to Brandon's knowledge for the first time. There is a website called UpToDateActor.com.
Never heard of her.
One time I took a class. I want to say it was through the Growing Studio. It was an online theater business class essentially, and it was by the people who made this website, which is really neat. It's called Up to Date Actor, and basically what it is it's a database for the theater industry. So it has pages for different theaters across the country.
Really?
It has pages for different directors, casting agents, etc.
Oh my God.
Yes, it's very neat.
That's amazing.
And then if their contact information is readily available, it is on there.
What?
Yes.
Crazy.
Very crazy. So
I've never. Do you pay for this?
Yes. So it
out.
does. So based on the plan, it costs $10 to $17 a month. There is a free trial option as well. I don't remember how long it was though. But it is, especially if you are, I think, new to the game, it's a useful tool in terms of finding contact information and all of that jazz.
I'm surprised I did not know about this. Like I've never looked into it. Don't know what it is.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the niche websites for sure. But it is, it's a convenient tool. And like if you go to a theater's page, it'll say, hey, these are the productions that they've done in the past. This is what's upcoming that they're auditioning for or whatever. So it's a very useful tool for sure.
I love that.
Just once again, it depends on where you're at, I think, and how.
Yeah. I think that's great. There are so many times you get a random gig from a random theater and you're like, what is this place? I don't have any info. I don't know anybody who's worked here.
Exactly.
You know? That's really helpful.
And also just like if you're really trying to get seen for some form of roller part or whatever, and you're like, oh God, I need to message someone and try and get an appointment or whatever. It's very useful for that as well in terms of finding the information. Whether or not they answer you, that's a different story. But
that's on them.
Yes, that is on them.
Losers.
But anywho, that's Up to Date Actor. Pretty neat. The Hustle definitely falls into this kind of category of other tools as well in terms of that. And then we also have our good old backstage forums. We love our backstage forums.
I use Audition Update, Callback Corner, and that's really the only two I use.
Exactly.
And even then, I rarely look at Audition Update because the Hustle kind of does what Audition Update was meant to do. And then I only look at Callback Corner when I'm really anxious. when I'm really anxious about whether or not I got called back.
And that's on being mentally ill, which is totally normal, everyone. It's totally 2024. Normal. I think we're all mentally ill.
I think we should get into that topic of the conversation now.
Let's what's your most traumatic memory that you have?
Okay, I was going to ask you if you could give me a laydown of your diagnoses. Okay, so we'll say them at the same time.
Ready?
Okay? Yeah. Okay. One time I was.
Okay. So, anyways, I'm looking right now at our little backstage forum, and I am looking at backstage.com/forums. And there is a bunch. There's actually a bunch of different forums on here. But once again, I use it primarily for Audition Update and Callback Corner. And we will be talking in future episodes about auditions themselves and callbacks themselves. But just as an overview, Audition Update is like daily updates about in-person auditions, how many people are on certain lists and whatnot, and all that jazz. And then Callback Corner is, hey, anybody get a callback for this thing that I auditioned for? And I really want to know whether I'm off the hook or booking or what about. So yeah, it's kind of that.
It's also an anonymous forum. which I think is important to state.
It's
because
very important to
anybody
state.
can post anything. They
Anybody
want,
can post anything. And
including
you know what?
me. And
I do.
I'm an agent of chaos. And
I am as well.
I love it.
Oh my God. What's your favorite thing to do on there?
I don't know that I can say. I think it'll out me.
That's true. I posted something that I thought was absolutely hysterical the other day for the sake of spreading chaos.
Yeah, it's
But
not
I
good.
will-
I shouldn't do that, but I do.
You know what? Things are so stressful.
Yeah.
If you're looking on those forums, you're stressed in some way or another. That's a fact. So if I can bring a little light to someone's day by taking absolutely nothing seriously, I think it's my job to do that.
I think it's worth it. I think that's a good job to take on.
And you know what?
Yeah.
You know why it's worth it? Because this is also free.
Free.
This is a free tool to use, folks.
Therefore, you have to deal with us.
Absolutely.
But also the hustle does.
Yes.
I think because the hustle is monitored, it's a bit of a safer place to get that information from.
Yeah.
If you want to deal with a little bit of chaos, go there. You'll probably see
Exactly.
Brennan and I.
There's actually a
shit
premium
anonymous.
membership for Backstage Forums that just filters out what Brandon and I are posting
No,
on
for
there.
real?
Yeah, they're coming out with it.
No.
It's just filtering out what you and I say. Our accounts are blocked on it.
Good one.
And yeah, that's our good old Backstage Forums. Okay, so let's say you're going on these websites. You're looking at all these things. There's a bunch of letters on there.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of letters, and you've just graduated, or you're just emerging into the professional world.
Just learning how to read.
Just learning how to read. What do all these letters mean? They're not words. They're all capital. These folks are acronyms. Yeah. So there's a bunch of different
Classic.
acronyms for different types of auditions. But let's break it down.
Go
Let's start
through 'em.
with the good old EPA. What's that standing for?
It is an equity principal audition.
I don't think we haven't really talked about the union yet, and we will have an episode on the union in the future. But just so everyone's aware, Equity is the Actors Equity Association. It is the union for stage actors. And yeah, anywho, that's what. Anywho's Equity Principal Audition. Breaking that down, it is auditions for principal roles for equity members specifically.
At equity theaters as well.
At equity
If a
theaters.
theater is not equity, they cannot hold or if they don't have any equity contracts to offer, rather, they cannot hold an equity principal audition or an equity chorus call, which is what we're going to get to next.
And what do you mean by equity contract for the folks?
So it is just it's a contract. I don't really know. I don't really know what I mean, but
That's okay. We're all here to learn. From my understanding, it's it's a contract that would be given to a member of the union.
Yeah.
And if you are
or not,
if you are not a member of the union, you can still receive one of these contracts, and via that you can either join the union or you have the option to defer X amount of times, I believe. So you essentially get the benefits of the union contract without having to join the union.
I think what it is it's a contract agreed upon by the union and the theater.
Yes.
So it is like in tandem, these two things, the theater and the union, are giving this actor this contract. So I think that's mostly what you are going for when you go to these auditions, but also it gets complicated.
It's very complicated. So as a non-union actor, if you are not in the union, you still have the ability to audition at these. But basically, you're going to sign up on a list. And once all of the people who signed up to audition, they then go to all of the union members that did not have a slot that show up and are an alternate. And once they get through those, they go on to another fun acronym called the EMC members. That stands for Equity Membership Candidate. And that is basically people who before the year 2023 had worked at a regional theater or a professional theater. Yeah, an equity house.
Theater,
and had received points for however many weeks they worked. Basically, the old system was you would accrue X amount of points, and once you had accrued that much, you would be able to join the union. That is no longer how it stands.
It's changed a lot over the past couple of years.
Yes.
So like even this is going to be dated within, I think, a year.
For sure.
I think within a year it's going to be dated.
That is true. So basically, that's how it used to work in terms of joining. But now That ended in the year 2023. So now there is a select handful of people still in that category, and they get precedence over non-union actors at these kinds of auditions. So basically, the tier is union actors who have signed up for time slots, union actors who are showing up on the day and being seen as an alternate option. Then there's the EMC folks, and then there's non-union. So that's going to be all of the people who are not in any of those previous categories who can show up on the day, write their name on a list. And if they get through all of those other categories, then they will move on to seeing non-union actors.
And all of these people can be seen in a day. It is a bit rare, just because it's a very saturated market. There are a lot of actors.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of equity actors right now. So it is kind of rare in which non-union members are seen, where even EMC members are seen.
Yeah.
But it does happen.
It does happen.
It does happen. It happens. It's kind of happened a lot this week in particular, actually.
Yeah. Past 2 weeks have been very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of for our non-union friends out there. You are still able to go to EPAs. That is still a viable option if you have the time to do so. Next, we have our good old ECC. Break it down for me.
So we got the equity chorus call, which is very similar to an EPA, an equity principal audition. It just, by definition, is a call for ensemble tracks, typically. And the system for the audition does tend to work a bit differently. Not too much differently, but it does work a bit differently. Whereas at EPAs, there are time slots given. So I think they're done by 20-minute slots, I think. And so they'll have, let's say, 10 slots available within those 20 minutes. And if, let's say, 5 of those people arrive within their 20-minute window, there are 5 more spots that can be filled by either equity alternates, EMC, or non-union.
Correct.
Now, with an ECC, it's a bit different in that everybody is there at the top of the day. And all of the equity members are just pretty much lined up and they just go.
Yes.
That's pretty much how it goes. And then if there is time at the end of the day, that's when non-union members are seen. And also, it's important to note that EMC is not a thing at ECCs.
Correct.
So if you are a non-union member, it will go, the tier in which people will be seen are equity members, non-union.
Everyone
So
else.
there's just, it's a bit easier organizationally to get seen. Doesn't mean it's necessarily easier to get seen, but organization wise it is easier to kind of grasp it and know where the day is going.
Yes. And also it's worth noting that there's sometimes different types of ECCs, being either ECCs specifically for singers or ECCs for dancers. It's usually separated into those categories. Unfortunately, it is also typically separated by gender for roles of stuff, but
that seems to be changing these days a good amount. I feel like a lot this season has been all genders, which is it's
which
great.
is very nice.
It's
and
great.
Also, listen, y'all, if you can only show up at one time of the day and it's not your quote gender slot, go to that audition. There's no reason you can't.
Who cares?
Gender is real, especially in this industry. So definitely show up to those auditions. Next, we have our good old open call. Or the Hunger Games of auditions, I would say. Except it's kind of not. It's kind of the opposite of the Hunger Games, because I feel like people don't want to be chosen for that. And everyone.
I guess you're right. Yeah, that's a good point. People want to be chosen for
I think
their
just the
open calls.
franticness of it is the Hunger Games.
It feels wild.
Yeah.
It feels wild and crazy. And it's just anybody can go.
Anybody can go.
Equity members, non-union members, anybody can go. Anybody can get seen anytime. It's wild. It's a madhouse. There are a lot of actors.
Hundreds and hundreds
a
of
lot of
people show up
actors
to
in
these.
this city, and they are all going to those open calls.
Absolutely.
They are all there. I'm there.
If you are living in a less populated area than New York City, go to those open calls.
Yeah.
That's a really great option for you. Especially if they don't have EPAs or whatever, definitely go to those open calls. Get seen at those. But New York people, I'm going to say don't go to those open calls, but that's just so I can get seen earlier in the day.
I mean,
just kidding. I love you all.
Well, I don't know how much you want to get into this, but like the time in which people get to these things.
It's worth noting just so people have an idea.
Yeah.
Frequently, I mean, open calls, yes, but even for EPAs and such, there is a culture being that people will show up to these buildings at ungodly hours of the morning and they will start an unofficial list. So it's really only for non-union at this point in time. There used to be a lot of EMC unofficial lists, but nowadays they are not taking any.
Yeah, they don't. It's not a thing that they can take those,
Which is good because there's a whole process to checking in with that.
Yeah.
But for non-union girlies, people will show up, they will tape a piece of paper to the building at an hour of the morning where it is still dark outside.
An ungodly hour.
Truly. And then they will start signing up and it's just a hope and a prayer that they will bring that list into the room at the start of signups and that the audition monitor, the person in charge of organizing the audition, will accept that and transfer it to the official list. I would say nowadays it seems like a 30% chance that that will happen.
It's not as often anymore.
No,
it
it's really not.
is not transferred as often.
So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, there is no official ruling or anything. This is just
there never will be. It will always be the same, unfortunately. You know?
I am of the opinion that I need to sleep as much as I can so that way I can get up and get ready and be able to perform my best at the time that the signups start. It is also of my opinion that it's not safe to travel that early in New York City.
No. It's cold. Audition season is in the winter.
Yep.
You're going to get sick.
Yes.
Sleep in, people.
Sleep in, folks.
Sleep in. Not that anybody's going to listen to us, but sleep in.
If we all just agreed to show up at the start time, it would be the exact same.
All
it would just be
a million of us.
We would all be more well-rested, you know?
It'd be great.
That's, once again, this is all my opinion.
It is just worth noting, though, that people do get there early. If you want to get on these lists, like, you might want to consider getting there early because people are going to be, like, you are never going to be the first one on the list.
For sure.
You're never going to be.
And always, I will say, always check the time that the building itself opens. Yep. Please check when the building opens. Because
don't stand out there in the cold. Don't do that.
Yes. Don't stand out there.
It's not worth it.
Don't do it. Your body is your instrument and you need it in prime shape.
Amen.
Whenever you can get seen. Yeah.
All right.
So true.
I'm glad we touched on that.
Yeah, me too.
It's worth noting.
It is worth noting, especially for the people who are going to explore this for the first time and then show up at an hour and be number 120 on the list.
Like, I feel like that's always the question when I was starting, like, when do I get there? What time do I... And, like, I used to be commuting from Long Island. I'm originally from Long Island. So commuting that hour and a half train ride to get here by, like, what I was hoping was, like, 6 or 7, which, like, is early. But there were people who were there before me, you know? And, like, I would have to be on the train at, like, 4 a.m.
Insane.
It was awful. It was terrible, you know?
And, like, also, it's worth noting that this is definitely a product of the industry. You know, this is a product of the industry that we work in. In a perfect world, there would be a website where we could all just log on at a certain time, sign our name up, hopefully, for the chance to get seen. That is.
So, like, one day when you join the union, that's how it goes, you know?
But, so, I mean, in an ideal world, that would be the case for non-union as well, but that's just not the world we live in right now. So please, for the love of God, people just stay safe out there. Stay safe, stay smart.
Stay healthy.
Yeah, stay healthy. That's so important.
Amen.
Anywho, that's the open call. Oh, a good old required call.
Oh, yeah.
It's also worth talking about this.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
There are going to be a lot of EPAs and ECCs that are required calls. So if you are a regional equity theater, you are required to have a general audition once a year. Correct? Once a year?
I think it depends on the house. I think it depends on the theater. I think it depends on how long their season is. I think it depends on a lot of things. I think they could have 1 to 2 required calls a year. But yeah, there are also always going to be equity auditions that are required calls. Open calls are never going to be required.
Correct.
That means they're, like, really looking for people if they're having open calls. But EPAs and ECCs can be required calls, and the thing is, you never know when one is.
You never know. So you really gotta, you gotta hope and dream. And you know, if at the end of the day you go in that room and they see you and you never hear from them again, there's a chance that you are definitely right for that part, but they had cast it long ago, and this is just something that they are required to do by the rules of the union. So I mean, it's worth noting. It's unfortunate. I mean, it's fortunate and unfortunate.
See, that's the thing about it, is that I do think I've recently kind of changed my tune about required calls, in that I used to assume a lot of things would be required and I wouldn't go to them.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think for the mental game, sometimes you have to do that.
Yep.
You know, there are days when you have to be like, I am not going to get out of bed today for a call that is most likely a required call. And I think those decisions are really important. And like, if you have to make that call, you got to make that call.
Yeah.
But also, I've kind of changed my tune these days into thinking like, if I can get seen by these casting directors, if I can get seen by this person, like a lot of times it's a music director in the room, it's a music associate, it's a casting director, it's a casting associate. And those are the people that you're trying to make connections with. Those are the people that like, you want them to see your work. So like, even if it's a required call, if you can get seen at it, like my MO these days is kind of like, do it, get seen.
Yeah.
Get seen, you know? You'd never like, I don't know. It feels a little weird, at least for me. I find myself to be a bit more of a realist, but for me to be saying, hey, you never know what's going to happen. Exactly. I think it's worth going in. Like, I think that's, it's a bit of an optimistic viewpoint on it, but I think, if you can be optimistic in this business, you should.
You gotta be. You have no choice but to
You
be.
should try.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're just starting out, folks, go to everything you can, because it's worth just getting seen, especially by like major casting directors and companies and stuff. I would say the most realistic, safe way is you want to get seen 3 times by these people before you start to get selective about those auditions. You know,
that's
by
a
each
good
individual, you want to see them 3 times. And quite frankly, like, especially me, I have not seen half of these people once, never mind 3 times. So I'm trying to go to everything that I can and get seen at. But yeah, it's about who you know. Yeah. It's an unfortunate thing, but it is about who you know. And the more you can establish yourself in front of these people, especially like your brand and whatnot, you will be remembered. At some point in time, you will start to be remembered, and then you will start to get invites to things, you know? And that's just kind of how it works. So yeah, get seen whenever you can.
Yep.
Don't go too out of your way. I will also say, like, don't be calling out of work once a week to go to an audition.
Don't drive yourself nuts.
No.
Be a human being. Learn to live your life. It's all about finding that balance, but you know. Also, try your hardest.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna make it very far if you're not putting in the work.
And being a working actor isn't getting paid to do something acting-wise. It's not. Being a working actor is showing up to auditions when you can. It's looking for auditions. It's sending in videos. That is what being an actor is. And that's kind of how it goes. That's a professional actor. So also don't count yourself out either. If you're doing those things and you're feeling like it's going nowhere, you are working. You are working. And that is...
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work,
job,
but you're doing
all
it.
That stuff, yeah.
So yeah, be realistic about what you're spending your time doing, but do as much as you can if you have the ability.
Amen.
Yeah.
Man.
Man. What's up?
I'm not joining you on this bit. I'm not doing it.
I was really hoping we would have a little
like the
Kristen Wiig for us.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Anyways, in terms of what calls you should really be going for, make sure that you know ahead of time if it's a union or non-union call, just so you can prepare accordingly. But go to whatever you can.
Yeah.
Go to whatever you can, and whatever you're appropriate for too. I will also say it is worth knowing that if you are not of a specific ethnicity or group of people represented in a show completely, that you should probably not show up to that audition, even if you're just trying to get seen. Don't do that.
Yep.
No, if you're right for something in the season, go for sure.
I also think, especially for those people who are going to these calls for the first time, it's worth having a buddy. It's worth having a buddy. They're long days.
So important.
They are so long important. Days sitting in these audition rooms, and it feels like you're sitting there doing nothing, but you're sitting in these really stimulating environments.
Very much so.
Really, like, there's just a lot going on. So it's worth having a buddy. It's worth having a buddy for those first times you go to the equity auditions, because you got to learn it somehow. And if you have somebody to lean on, it's worth it.
And if you don't have any buddies yet, then once you get to those places,
call us.
Call us.
Let's drop your number.
Just, you can call me at bleep. I actually did that once.
What? On a podcast?
No, I competed in my high school male pageant Mr. BMR.
I think I've heard the. I think I know about this pageant. I don't know the story.
Yeah, because I won. Because
Okay,
I
yep,
was
yep,
Mr. BMR.
Yeah,
And it's
that you
probably
were.
because of this. We had like a finish the lyrics portion where they would start playing a song and they would stop it and you would have to finish it. And mine was Call Me Maybe. And I obviously knew the lyrics, but I wasn't really delivering any comedy with it. So at the end I said, no, really, call me. And I started saying a phone number. That was mine. And at any point I could have just said different numbers. My brain, not working like that. No. I gave my full phone number on this televised program.
It was televised?
To the local TV channel. So probably 7 people saw it.
Did you get any calls? Did you get any? Did anybody
I didn't.
reach out?
My mom went over to the videographer after and said, please bleep that out. In fact, I think when I was congratulated, I don't think the congratulation came first. I think it was a why did you say your actual phone number before it was a congratulations on winning. Which,
that was really
you know
good.
What? Valid.
I didn't know that part of the story, the part where your mom went to the videographer.
Yeah, it was for the best. But anywho, yes. I mean, if you see us at an audition, also say hi. Say hi. We're there for the same reason you are, you know. We're all in this together. And yeah, if you're at an audition alone and you see someone else that's alone, go over, make a friend.
Yeah,
make as many friends as you can.
Most of the time people are friendly.
But I will say, don't be annoying.
Don't be annoying.
Be nice, be kind.
I was going to say, we gotta
read the room, because let me tell you,
there are a lot of times I'm at those places and I don't want to talk to anybody.
Literally.
But then there are a lot of times where I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Having a good day? You good?
Absolutely.
You excited?
Hey, I'm having a great day. Thanks for asking. What's your name?
My name?
Yeah.
Brennan.
Your name is Brennan.
What's your name?
That's so crazy. My name is Brendan.
Don't do this.
And that, folks, was some improv. Because we are actors.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah.
Oh boy.
Bring some friends, meet some friends, bring a book, bring your laptop. New thing that I've been doing, bring a board game.
I know. I've been loving people bringing like these card games.
Absolutely. Bring them.
I love it.
What a great way for community.
I bring my embroidery. I do some embroidery.
Absolutely. Anything that you can do to pass the time, do it. Do it.
Yeah. For real.
Because days are long. And there's only so many hours a day, as we previously discussed, but we're working on that.
We're gonna get back to you on that one. Okay? We're gonna get back to you.
Okay. So yeah, know what calls to go in for. In terms of getting appointments, that is a tricky situation for those of us who are not in the union. And basically, once again, it's about who you know. If you know some people, email them.
Reach out.
Say, hey.
Actors Access.
Actors Access. The other way. You can do that.
And sometimes appointments are listed on Playbill. They'll be like, email for appointments.
Also that.
Yeah. I like those. I like when they do that.
And at the end of the day, Google. Whoever you can find, the casting agent, the assistant to the casting agent. Find those emails, send them out. At the end of the day, get your face in front of whoever you can, even if it's by email. Do it. Yeah. That's really...
I feel like we've covered just about everything.
I think that's how you find an audition.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
I think those are all the ways. I think we nailed them all.
I think we did.
With absolute facts and no hesitancy.
No hesitancy. No uncalled for opinions.
Yeah.
No...
malarkey.
No malarkey.
Not at all. Not a single bit.
You and I are not known for
No,
malarkey.
We are very straight-laced.
Very
that
straightforward.
That is what we're known for.
Very straight-laced. Very straight.
But yeah, anywho, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Can I beatbox a little bit?
Yeah, beatbox. Just take like a step back from the mic so it's kind of in the background.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you ready?
Go for it. No, do it. Okay, folks, thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to support us, you can do so on Patreon. We have different little tiers on Patreon. Once again, for the sake of transparency, we will not be posting any gatekeeping information on Patreon. It's going to be little bonus content, fun audition horror stories, survival job stories, just some fun little anecdotes and previews to different episodes and merch and stuff. So feel free to support us on there. if we reach 200 more Patreon members,
what happens
a week after this airs?
What happens?
Brandon and I are
What are we
going
gonna do?
we're going to release a calendar.
Yeah,
a BA to Broadway calendar featuring the two of us.
we should.
And yeah, those 100 members will get first dibs. They will have to purchase it because we are notoriously poor. But yeah, we're gonna do that.
Should we put some like spicy pics in there?
Well, I think that's absolutely
That's
the only
point,
way
right?
to do
That's what
it.
you were saying.
Yeah,
okay,
great.
great.
I mean,
okay, great.
I mean, it's also nice to know what day of the year it is, but
it's important. It's
For sure.
important to know what day of the year it is. Do you think it'll be okay? Do you think it'll be like a month-based calendar or a day calendar? I think we should do a day.
that would be so many pictures.
We need 365 pictures. We should do it.
Okay, folks.
We're committing.
We'll work on it.
If these people pay for it, we'll make it happen.
But you know what, though? We're going to do the weekend. Saturday and Sunday are going to be the same page.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't got time to flip that page on the weekend.
So that's probably, I don't know. It's 365 minus probably like 52, I think.
Minus 52.
Minus 52. I can't do that math, though. 313.
Stay in school,
Right?
folks. Study math.
313.
100%.
I went to school to
There you go.
St.
313 pictures of us mailed to you.
Mailed to you directly to your home.
But once again, only if we get those Patreon members.
Yeah.
Hey, baby. Anywho, Brandon, thank you so much. Where can people find you? Where do Where do you want to be found?
Oh my god. I have a website,
You do
an
have a
actor website, which is www.brandonwaltersactor.com.
Mm-hmm.
I have an Instagram, Brandon_Walters with a Z at the end, which I hate. I really need to change that.
Because
I'm
you're
a quirky girl. I really need to change that though. But that is my Instagram currently. That's it, really. I don't have anything else.
Okay.
I don't have any other.
And if we reach 500 Patreon members, I will post Brandon's phone number on the internet.
Do it. I'll let you do that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, folks. Don't forget to follow us on social media at BA to Broadway on most social media platforms. Thank you so much once again for all your support, and we will see you next week.
Woo-hoo. Thanks for having me, Brennan.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and graphic design by Jordan Vongsithi.